Which current member of the Spurs could possibly be the next All-Star?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kansas City, San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hopefully everybody's having a good start to their week. And yeah, let's dive into it. But before we get into all the fun stuff here at Locked On Spurs, I want to thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. As always, free and available wherever you get podcasts. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sports book of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. What are we talking about today? All-Stars. No, I know. There's no possibly not going to be a Spurs All-Star out in Utah, but we got the fan returns, the final fan returns, and there was a little bit of surprises when it comes to the silver and black players. We're going to also look at which current players on the roster could possibly be the next All-Star down the road. And if we got time, some news and notes. Let's going to bring him in. He is Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. And, Joe, if we could give out All-Star jerseys here at Locked On Spurs, I'd give you one by now. Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Glad that our schedules worked out so where I was able to go ahead and join you today.
And no, back-to-back weeks, man.
Yeah.
Back-to-back weeks. Good, yeah. Because, again, like if you don't know, Joe started a new job, so we have to kind of work with him a little bit. But fortunately, his schedule lined up where he can hop on because there was like a 2.5 week gap. You were gone, right?
Yeah, I was gone. I was busy starting this new job and also helping take care of my dad because he's, like I've been telling everybody, he's not been in the best health. So, I've been just trying to spend some time with him as well.
Hopefully he feels a lot better. Maybe she'll let him listen to this episode of Locked On Spurs. Maybe that'll put a smile on his face. Give a hot take, Joe. Get your dad laughing.
Oh yeah, that'll probably get him laughing. He'll get mad at me for being foolish.
All right, well, let's go dive into it. We get it. Joe gets it. I get it. You get it. There's likely not going to be an NBA All-Star from the San Antonio Spurs out in Utah this upcoming All-Star break, but the fan returns are in the final ones, and there were some surprises. So, Joe, listen, let everybody know very clear. We're just talking about the fan returns, not the player votes or the grand total, just the fan votes, because usually, at least back in our day, Joe, fans really did account for 100% of the vote. Now they're only account for 50% of the vote, but there was surprises. So let's start off with the first takeaway from the final fan voting. And I want to get your thoughts on this. Were you surprised that Keldon Johnson was the highest leading fan vote getter for the Spurs?
Not surprised, He's arguably the Spurs' best player that they have right now, even though he still is a little bit too inconsistent for me, and let's be honest, over the last couple of games, he's looked okay, but yeah, it is what it is. This is who we have right now that's been, I guess, the Spurs' best player so far. So, yeah, he's popular and he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. He's a really good guy. He's really nice, always interacting with the fans, and showing a lot of love. So, yeah, overall, great guy, so it doesn't surprise me.
He had 87,312 fan votes. Again, the best vote getter for the Spurs. I'm not surprised as well, although I thought it'd be a little higher considering he has a new fan base out in China. Like they like to those countries like to stuff the balance. Yeah, he has this new sneaker deal, and we've seen it before. Remember Yao Ming, the fans out in China just stuffed the ballot box. Manu, Argentina fans would come in strong. Parker, France fans. I really thought there might be a little bit of a bump, but again, I think in time it'll come for him. Now, look, he's already technically been to an All-Star game. I believe he was part of the Rising Stars game back in the day for Keldon, so he has that to his belt. Just hasn't had that uniform yet as an NBA All-Star, but I think it'll come in time. I think it'll come, but he's going to have, like you mentioned, a consistent season. Let's be honest, Joe, be on a team that has a winning record. Joe, how much do you think the Spurs losing record impacts players like Keldon Johnson from being an all-star?
It impacts him a great deal because as long as the Spurs keep on losing, who's going to really talk about him? How popular are they going to be
Yeah.
with the fans outside of San Antonio? Not
Mhm.
very popular. They were already a small market. Now you talk about having, back to back kind of arguably not great seasons. And this has been the worst season that
Mhm.
I can remember in Spurs histories thus far. There's not going to be much talk or many eyes on the Spurs. So it's going to be hard pressed for Keldon Johnson to get any other votes outside of San Antonio.
Yeah, yeah. They say it's just based on the individual player, but in reality, fans do look at that. They look, wow, he's part of a losing team. What kind of all-star is that? So yeah, it is what it is. But I guess the next player I want to talk about, as far as fan voting is concerned, I don't know about you, Joe. We'll get your reactions. I was a little surprised. The second leader among the Spurs with fan voting was not Devin Vassell, not even Jakob Pearl. It was Jeremy Sohan. He had the second most fan votes among the Spurs at 23,251. I got to be honest with you, Joe. I was a little stunned. What about you?
I wasn't stunned at all. I mean, it's to be expected. I mean, Jeremy Sohan has got a lot of love from the Spurs fans. They've seen his progression from, a rookie kind of coming in, trying to, find his own path. And now, coming into his own, so to speak, with, that 30-point plus outing that he had against the Phoenix Suns, even in
Uh-huh.
an overtime loss. But nonetheless, I mean, you like everything you're seeing out of the kid. I mean, he's so fun to just, I guess, look at like these videos and his
Mhm.
personality and the way he is with the media and the fans. Always interacting again, like Keldon, having a lot of fun, always smiling. I mean, the outrageous hairstyles, go a long way with the fans, especially when he did the Fiesta colored theming and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
He's an interesting character, very outgoing. So it doesn't surprise me that the fans have become enamored with him. And then you look to see what the kid can do on the court. I
Mhm.
mean, he's been playing pretty decent ball. So I mean, yeah, dude, it's to be expected.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, it was just too much too soon. Like I expected, I'm making this up, like maybe Pirtle, take Pirtle, for example, to be the second leading vote getter. But no, it was Sohan. So it's a testament to him, to his embracing of the fans. You go on his social media, he's constantly interacting with fans, whether it be Q&As on his Instagram or just retweeting stuff. So he's really fan friendly. And remember, he's still a teenager. So, he's going to be a little bit more interactive than maybe the older heads on any NBA team. So, yeah, credit to Sohan. And again, that's fan voting. So, among the fans, NBA fans, not just Spurs fans, NBA fans, they felt that he was the second best to be an all-star among the silver and black roster. We're with Joe Garcia. He is with Two Shots Podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Two Shots Podcast. We're not done. When we get back, we're going to continue looking at the fan voting for your San Antonio Spurs. Then I'm going to ask Joe, which players does he think could be the next to represent the Spurs at an all-star game right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we do all that, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Look, you got to get FanDuel. It's the America's #1 sports book. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner here at Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America. As mentioned, it's FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets. And if your first bet doesn't win, well, it's all right. You'll be all right because FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. It's free. Download it right now so you can join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We're back with Joe Garcia right here on Locked On Spurs. He is with Two Shots Podcast. and the man who is always busy nowadays. But you're making the bucks, Joe. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I'm trying. Like I said, I got to put a daughter through college, and I got my son, the youngest, going to be graduating next year and off to college after that. So,
Oh
and
man,
I got to make money to save it to put these kids through college. So hopefully they can take care of dad when they get the big bucks.
they better.
I hope
You think
so.
they will?
I
They're
hope
gonna
so.
they're gonna put you in a home, Joe. They go put
I
dad
hope
in a
not.
home.
Hey, I hope not. I said after working all these hours and doing all this stuff for them, hopefully the love is reciprocated when I get in my golden age. My
I'll,
golden age there.
I'll visit you at your home, at the nursing home, Joe.
We're
I'll
gonna be
visit you
racing
there.
against each other in scooters.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We're looking at the fan voting for your silver and black. And yes, we know no fan, or at least no Spur was voted. I got enough votes to become a starter for an NBA All-Star team. But the fans definitely did show a little love to the silver and black. Now, talk about the top two vote getters for the Spurs in the first segment. That was Keldon and Sohan. The next, I would have thought it would have been Devin Vassell. It wasn't, Joe. It was Jakob Poeltl with 17,018 fan votes. Your thoughts?
That's I don't know, man. That's kind of surprising, but not
Mm-hmm.
surprising. I mean, again, you look at Jakob, and he's been one of the most consistent players that the Spurs have had this season. Does a lot of the little things out there that go unnoticed, but I mean, he's a great contributor, and fans just love him. Again, he just goes out there, works hard,
Mm-hmm.
and you like to see that. He's a very stereotypical Spurs player. So again, not a surprise that Spurs fans have again become enamored with one Jakob Poeltl. I mean, what's not to love about the guy?
Mm-hmm.
He just seems like a great teammate, great overall person.
Or maybe there was just NBA fans from different other cities slash rooting for the team that want the Spurs to trade him to their team. Could have been like Toronto fans saying, "Hey, we vote for Poeltl. Maybe they'll get traded to from San Antonio to here," because that's the latest on the rumor mill. But yeah, I was a little surprised by that. And I think a big issue why that probably happened likely was too, because the fourth leading Spurs fan vote getter was Devin Vassell with 16,308 fan votes. And I think for Vassell, likely what hurt him was getting injured early in the season, at least, and still right now, still on the IR. Your thoughts, Joe?
No, I mean, like again, when he's out there and he's playing, I mean, he is a great teammate. He's a good, I guess, overall player when it comes to
Mhm.
centers in the NBA. While he's not flashy or very athletic in regards to some of the other players that get mentioned before him, he's a very solid player. He's a top 10 center in the NBA. And you like everything you see out of him, when he's out there on the court, being able to set those picks and coming out and set those screens, and he's a good overall passer as well, and I mean, like again, one of the things that I guess Spurs fans would nitpick about him is his free throw shooting. And he's kind of turned that up a little bit as well. While he's not always money from the stripe, he's shown
Mhm.
that you don't have to take him out of the games anymore. So I mean,
Mhm.
that's a good thing. So you like
Yeah.
everything you're seeing out of Jakob. He's a solid
Yeah.
addition, and no wonder that he's getting love from the fans.
Yeah, again, as mentioned before, Devin Vassell, what likely hurt him was being injured. He had a couple injuries early in the season. Now he's obviously with surgery right now. That probably hurt him because I think, his upside is crazy. Another season under his belt in NBA level, he might be a problem. And in case anybody was wondering which Spur got the least fan votes, it was Isaiah Roby with 494 fan votes. Joe, that's gotta hurt Roby.
Well,
Not
what
really.
hurts Roby is that they're not playing him. They're not giving the kid
You know
much
what? I'm a
run.
little surprised by that. I really thought he'd be getting a lot more run than we're seeing because he's a big dude and he can play multiple positions. But is that part of the whole tank job we're seeing, Joe?
Well, if you want to tell me you're tanking without telling me you're tanking, you probably don't want to play a lot of Isaiah Roby. I mean, he's not a superstar by any means, but he's a very versatile player. He kind of reminds me of a poor man's Kyle Anderson from back in the day,
Hmm.
slow mo. Very
Yeah.
versatile player that you can put out there on the court, playing, multiple positions, and does a lot of the little things that, you love to see out of a player. And not only
Mhm.
that, the kid is young, so it's like that's a
Mhm.
head scratcher. Why are you not giving him more run? Unless
Exactly.
you're wanting to go ahead and put some of your vets out there and give them more run because they're more attractive as far as trade bait. So I don't know. We'll see what
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah, again, look, we get it. There likely is not going to be a Spur at as an NBA All Star for San Antonio in Utah, but nevertheless, it was good to see the fan vote. It was a little interesting. Sohan being the second leading one, Pirtle, third leading fan vote getter for the Spurs. So hopefully soon the Spurs will have a all-star. But Joe, let's go and talk about our next topic, and that is which Spurs have the potential to be wearing an all-star jersey. Now, the last Spur to do that was DeJounte Murray last season, but who can be next? Let's start off with the obvious, Keldon Johnson. He's probably the leading candidate to be the next Spur all-star, isn't he?
In Spurs fans' eyes, I say yes. But the actuality is, I mean, is he really? Other than just being, yes, he is the best player that the Spurs have. Is he worthy of that acronym of being an NBA All-Star? At this point, I'd have to say, and I've got nothing but love for Keldon. I would just say no. That's just me being completely honest, but I mean, it goes with the fan vote and how popular you are. And as you stated, Spurs being in a small market and having a losing season is not a good recipe for Keldon Johnson getting voted to be an NBA All Star. Not anytime soon.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I think he is likely to be the next NBA All Star from San Antonio. I think the progression is leading that way. He was mentioned he was part of the Rising Stars. He was on an Olympic team. I know he's been a little bit erratic with his shot this season, but he did drop 30 points. And it's not the first time he did this. He's already done it several times, dropping 30 points. Does the Spurs record going to hurt him? Yes. I mean, we're not the only ones to say this. I mean, remember a couple years ago, or no, it was last year when DeJounte didn't get a seat at the All Star squad, and Popovich said, we're losing, and it's probably we're hurting his chances. And luckily, for DeJounte, Draymond Green couldn't make it, and Green advocated for Murray. I think that's what's going to happen with Keldon. Something similar, injury replacement, or having to rely on the coaches vote or something like that, to get into the All-Star squad. But Joe, who could possibly be the next Spur wearing an All-Star uniform, not named Keldon Johnson? Who do you got?
It would be Jeremy Sohan. I mean,
Yeah.
Jeremy Sohan is probably arguably one of the most interesting point guards and
Hmm.
rookies, not point guards, sorry to say, but rookies
Well, he
to
plays a
come.
point guard spot sometimes,
Yeah,
though.
from time to time, yeah. But I'm saying, he's probably one of the most interesting, rookies, uh, to hit the NBA this season, I mean, it's not that he's, getting a lot of looks from just Spurs fans here, but I think other fans are starting to take notice of one Jeremy Sohan, and you see the progression of his game from the beginning of the season up until now. He's, shown a lot of improvement, a lot of growth. I think the ceiling is very high for one Jeremy Sohan to be a great all-around player, be that great two-way player, not only being able to contribute on the offensive end, but his defensive prowess out there on the court is something to behold as well. So I think he's going to be worthy of getting that nod to an NBA All-Star game, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I actually think that, if I'm going to put like a ranking, like 1, 2, and 3, I actually got Devin Vassell being number 2 with the second best chance of becoming an NBA All Star. His injuries really hurt him this season, and they set him back a bit. By the time he comes back, which they're projecting after the All Star break, time he gets going again, get revving and body back in playing shape, the season's pretty much a wash for him. But I think with a healthy season, he could possibly prove to be a very strong candidate to be an NBA All Star. Joe, he has all the tools. He's a bit more consistent. I just think he has a legit shot And I think for Sohan, not to disagree with you, I think Sohan does have a shot. The numbers showed it. He's the second leading fan vote getter among the Spurs for this year's All-Star. But, I think Devin just has a little bit more, right now over Sohan. Sohan's just a rookie. Devin's been there, done that already. But coming in third for me would be Sohan for all the reasons you stated. But, Joe, is there a possible dark horse among this team that could possibly be another All-Star?
Oh man, that's going to be a tough one because right now at this point, I'd have to say no, only because we don't have anything to gauge some of these
Mhm.
younger rookies against anything right now. They're not getting a lot of run. Let's be honest, but outside of Sohan getting a ton of minutes right now since the season started, um, it's going to be hard pressed to see what the ceiling is with some of these other
Mhm.
rookies that the Spurs have just because the amount of playing time that they're receiving.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
mean, everybody still, wants to see what Wesley can do, but
mhm.
he's not getting a ton of minutes. So
Mhm.
possibly, they could go ahead and I'm going to say, maybe at some point in time they could develop into that,
Mhm.
all-star type of player. But I just think right now it's kind of unfair to kind of gauge what they could be, because we
Mhm.
just haven't had a large sample size of what of their true potential.
I'm with you. I'm going to just answer my own question and say no. I think there is not a dark horse because that's it. And then you just really Sohan, Johnson, and Vassell have the legit shot to be an NBA All Star. I don't think Trey Jones will be. I can't see, Malachi yet. Or you mentioned Wesley, yeah, Pirtle, probably not, considering all the talent at his position in the West. Just in the NBA overall, period. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough road for these Spurs. Unless they win the lottery and you get yourself a Scoot Henderson or a Wemby, then, yeah, there's your next All-Star. But as of right now, yeah, I think it's just those three. I don't think there is a dark horse. But we're not done talking about this topic, despite the fact that there are no Spurs All-Star starters, likely not going to be any reserves. Could there possibly still be Spurs representation in Utah for the All-Star Game 2023? We're going to talk about that and more with Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. We're back here, right here on Locked On Spurs with Joe Garcia, Two Shots Podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Two Shots Podcast. So, Joe, there actually might be some Spurs silver and black representation in Utah during the All-Star weekend. And let's start off with this one, Jeremy Sohan. He's better be at the NBA Rising Stars game, right? I mean, he has to be on there.
You would think so. I mean, I'm hoping. I got my fingers crossed on this one. I mean, you would love to see Sohan being a representative of the San
Mhm.
Antonio Spurs at the Rising Stars Challenge. I bet you almost all the Spurs fans in San Antonio would be tuned in to the Rising Stars Challenge
Mhm.
just to see one Jeremy Sohan, and they'd be excited to see that he is representing the silver and black. I mean, I hope that happens.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to be really stunned. I might be flipping tables if he's not on there. He's earned it. What he's doing recently, double figure scoring, the 30-point outing, locking down players, one of the best defensive rookies among his class. Yeah, he has to be in there. And he has a legit shot to make it. Another possible Spur representation out in Utah for the All-Star weekend is Charles Bassey. Yeah. Don't forget, there's actually a G League All-Star game that we played over the All-Star weekend. And as of this recording, he is the fourth highest G League vote getter to make the squad. In other words, fans are voting him in, and he's likely going to make it. So he could possibly be a G League All-Star representing the Austin Spurs / San Antonio Spurs. I think that would be good for him, Joe.
Yeah, it would be great for one Charles Bassey, getting some love out there, in the G League. I mean,
I
Spurs fans again this would be something they would get excited about, because you
Mhm.
potentially have Charles Bassey coming back and developing his game, and if he comes back with the squad here with the Spurs. I mean, you want to see what his progression is. What kind of growth is he showing as a player?
I wish he was getting more time in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But he had dropped 40 points in a G League game recently. 40 points. And did you see that stat though? He did that in 32 minutes.
Yeah.
He
Very
scored
efficient.
40 points in 32 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, my goodness.
that's great.
The only person I see could do better than that is Joe Garcia.
Nah.
He scored 40 points in 25 minutes. How did you do it, Joe?
Nah, I wish I could, maybe back in the day, when I used to play basketball for my high school, maybe, if I had a lot of opportunity as far as playing time, but we were a small school, so not a lot of playing time going around there,
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other events too, slam dunk contest. I really don't think any Spur will get an invite. 3-point shootout, definitely not. There's no shot. I mean, maybe McDermott, but Spurs don't really knock the threes down with regularity.
Oh yeah,
But
dude.
yeah,
They've not been very good at all over the last couple of seasons. Let's be honest about that, Jeff. They have not been a 3-point shooting powerhouse for quite some time.
but I really think that at least Sohan and Bassi will be there to represent the silver and black. So thumbs up, Joe. I mean, I think Spurs fans will take it at this point, considering how the season is going.
They'll take anything they can get. I mean, let's be honest. What does the season look like so far?
It's
You
over
know?
already. The
Yeah, I
season's
mean,
done already. Yeah.
I mean, as far as it being over, yeah, I mean, I think it was over in December. Quite honestly,
Yeah.
I think the writing was on the wall there by the end of December that okay, you kind of knew what was going to be going on with this team when you were really paying attention to what the numbers were telling you, stat wise, and you were seeing that they were always near the bottom of the league when it came to their defensive rating, their net rating, their offensive rating. The only thing that they had going for them was going to be how well they looked in the open court,
Mhm.
as far as pace goes. But beyond that, I mean, the numbers don't lie, Jeff, and they were telling you what was going to be happening with this team. But the solace that Spurs fans can go ahead and take in this whole season is, hey, you got the NBA draft lottery coming up. And
Mhm.
I mean, if the Spurs can go ahead and still keep on stringing these losing streaks together, we know what the prize is, you know?
What we're seeing right now with this season is simply just a glorified training camp. That's all it really is.
Yeah, yeah. They're playing
They're
exhibition games right now, Jeff.
playing, yeah, they're playing preseason. This is just an extension of training camp. How many times you see it? They're getting experience or learning. Well, you do all that in training camp. The real season for San Antonio Spurs fans doesn't start till when this season's over and the draft lottery starts. So I think there
Yeah.
is where Spurs fans would definitely be tuning in because season's been it's been bad. I mean, I think the Spurs are the worst defensive team in the NBA, the
Uh,
worst. And that's under
they
Popovich's watch. So
they're on
yeah,
pace to be one of the worst defensive teams in NBA history,
good
if you wanna
lord,
go ahead and put it in perspective, you know?
wow, yeah,
It's that bad, Jeff. It's that bad, but, I think you can go ahead and say that this, season's a wrap once the team gets back from that rodeo road trip, which I'm
yeah,
thinking it's not gonna go very well.
yeah. They got a few more games, like just a couple more games at the AT&T, and then they're gone for quite a long time on their rodeo road trip. But hey, as mentioned, the chances are likely that Sohan and Bassi will be at the All Star event slash weekend. So, yay, thumbs up! There you go, Spurs fans. A little moment for you, and also to the fan voting too for Sohan for him to be the second leading Spur vote getter. I mean, I think that's a big testament to his first season and how he's developing. But we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about the Spurs and the fan voting? Were you a little surprised that Sohan was the second leading vote getter for the Spurs? What about Pirtle being the third? And also, which Spur do you think could possibly be the next All-Star moving forward? We want to hear from you. But Joe, tell us what's going on at Two Shots.
Actually, we're going to start recording new episodes. We're getting back in the swing of things, and we got a new episode that we're going to be recording on Tuesday. So look out for that. We'll go ahead and post it on social media when it's, up and ready to be sent out to the masses. So we're excited to get back on the horse here, so to speak, and start releasing new episodes. We've been on hiatus for quite some time, but I've been busy with the new job and also helping take care of my dad. So that's why we've been away for a little bit.
You are a great son and father, Joe. Way to go.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Good job. Good job. But again, I'll visit you in the nursing home when your kids put you there.
Yeah, as long as you go ahead and play some old school video games, retro games with me.
All right, I'm down. I'm down. Hey, we'll still be gaming even though we're already way past our primes.
Yeah.
But thanks for making the Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, including the Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube, Stitcher, Odyssey app. Yeah, everywhere. And make your second listen be Game to Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. So follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA. So for Joe Garcia, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock of this episode of Locked On Spurs.